What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Outside the Clutch. Hey, 2 weeks in a row after taking 2 weeks off. What do you know? We're coming back. We're getting in the swing of it. Tonight it's going to be fun. We should have a pretty good conversation tonight. It's almost like an open forum because we didn't plan anything. This is going to be a straight ad lib, which is kind of the way I like to run these interviews anyways. So it's going to be a good time. Let's jump in, say hi to everyone that's popping in. Hey, if you're popping in, make sure you hit that like button, share this out so that we can get some love for Robby tonight, and so that we know you're on here. Always a good thing. HB Reptiles, Mr. Herbert, throwing some fire stuff out there. I love what he does. His show display is outstanding, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Brandon, what's up, my dude? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Picking up some fire this year. This dude's doing some crazy trades right now that it's going to set him up for massive success in the future. Massive. Jason, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? I'm not going to say your brand name. I'm sorry. I'm going to let it sit there for a second, but I'm not going to say it because I am going to butcher the crap out of that. Anima. Like I said, I'm not even going to try that. I'm going to butcher it horribly. I'm sorry, Jason. Yell at me later. Dale Richards, what's up? Constricted Reptiles, what's going on? Silly Serpents in the house tonight. What's going on? Yeah. Rising Phoenix, what's up, Jamie? How you doing? How you doing? And we got the laugh, so that's good. At least you're not taking it too serious. I told you I was gonna butcher that. Totally gonna butcher that. Yo, Paco Miranda, if you're in the southeast, man, there's a lot of good breeders in the southeast right now. But if you are not paying attention to this man right here, you're missing out. He's throwing fire. He's doing craziness. He just got done at Daytona. So give some love to Mr. Paco Miranda. We've had him on before if you want to go watch that episode after this one. All right, let's jump into this. We're going to get going as people pop in. We'll give them their love too. Yeah, so there's some changes to the show. So I have to redo some commercials. For those that have been watching my Instagram, you know we recently brought on a new sponsor, and we recently created a new affiliate partnership with the same company. Ship Your Reptiles. I don't know who you guys use to ship through, but Ship Your Reptiles is amazing. If you want to reach out to Miss Susie, I've been with them since I've started in this long journey, the last 7 years. Miss Susie is amazing. She works hard to make sure I stay happy. I have the opportunity to give you guys a discount, and so I took full advantage of that. So if you use Feelys 15, FEALYS 15, you get 15% off your first shipment. And if you become a member, hey, let's just be honest about it. The longer that you show your loyalty to a company, the better discounts you're going to get. So this is your way to get started. I hope you stick with them. I absolutely love Ship Your Reptile. I have only used them in my journey. Like I said, I hope you do too. Outside of that, hey, we got the same ones. Husbandry. It's that time of year. You're pumping out babies. Things are getting hectic. You got to stay on your game. There's so many ways to take care of your husbandry properly, but you need the right equipment and you need to actually care and monitor this stuff, right? VivTech has so many good things to help you with that. They have sensors. They have an app that's running right now so you can monitor it 24/7 anywhere you are. They have the UV bulbs that a lot of our animals need, right? They have your bags. I use the snake bags exclusively. That's the only bag I use. You won't see me, like, I receive snakes in other bags and then they get tossed away, but you will not see me use another snake bag if it comes to you from me or at a show. VivTechProducts.com. Use code FCLUTCH0322 and you get 15% off store wide. So make sure you check them out. Reptichip, 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 Reptichip. Hey, you got a lot of choices. At the end of the day, I hope you choose Reptichip. I hope you choose Reptichip. I love coconut substrate. I've seen aspen work. I understand, hey, your different climates need different things, right? I hope that you take the opportunity to at least try it out. You can use Feely Chippin for a one-time discount on the site. Anything you want to get off the site. Try Reptichip out. Let me know what you think about it, whether it's the baby chip or the loose chip or the breeder blocks, whatever you decide to go with. Check it out. Give it an opportunity. Let me know what you think about it so that I can then relay it to the company and be like, hey, this is how we can make it better. That's what I'm about. I love giving you guys opportunities to, hey, save a little bit of money. Times are hard, right? But the important thing is we're always working to make these products better as well. So it helps you, it helps the company, it helps me. It's a win-win-win. Best way to do it, right? And finally, Show Me Snake shows. There are all kinds of Show Me Snake shows popping up, like literally countrywide. If you have not been to a Show Me Snake show, you're missing out. Plain and simple, missing out. I'm pulling it up because I'm not gonna lie, I finished eating like literally right before I had to do our checks. So I'm pulling up the shows right now. Show Me Snake shows. Someone might beat me to it. Show Me Snakes. Boom. All right. Let's see here. So their next shows are going to be, that's taking too long. It's faster like this. Show Me Snakes. Boom. All right. All right. Bear with me for a second. All right. So we have next weekend, Tulsa, Oklahoma. The following weekend, there are 3 shows across the country that you can go to: Springfield, Massachusetts, Orlando, Florida, and St. Louis, Missouri. The following weekend, you can see them in Tampa, Florida. If you have not checked out a Show Me Snake show, they're freaking amazing. I love vending them. I love going to them. It's super family friendly. You get a wide variety of animals. You don't just get the same animal through the entire show, which you see at a lot of big shows, which I'm not going to knock on. Like, we all love our ball pythons, but let's just say a couple of shows can be very ball python heavy, right? And it's okay. But this show is a good way for everyone to get their foot in the door, find what they love, which is super important because we need to work with what we love so that it's properly cared for. So if you want to check one out, go check it out. Let them know you saw it at Outside the Clutch. All right, let's jump into this. I don't want to keep this man waiting for too long. We've been running it. All right, y'all. I hope you're ready. I'm pretty excited about this. This dude's sending fire out. He makes some amazing animals already. I'm super excited. When I talked to him, I think it was February. Past February at Arlington. We were talking about projects we were going to do this year, and you could just see the passion in his eyes when he was talking about his projects for this year. And you don't always see that. Like, you could see some excitement, but this dude was like, I'm going to get this. And this is what I love. And that's freaking amazing. I love seeing it. So let's talk to him about who he is, his brand, and give some love to Robby from Argen Reptiles. What's going on, dude?
Man, great to be on the show.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
So let's just dive right into it.
All right.
Tell us a little bit about you and your upbringing. Like, what are kind of those pseudoisms that make Robby who he is today?
Yeah. Okay. So that's always a good question. Mainly because I grew up in a bicultural family. So my dad's actually from India, and my mom's from the States. And I was actually born in India. So we moved here when I was maybe 3 or 4. So I grew up most of my life in Dallas, and then when I was 18, I got a chance to move down to Costa Rica, and I lived there for 9 years. Met my wife, started our family there, and everything. So just a big mix of cultures, and that kind of it plays into a lot of who I am. And it's funny because I work with a lot of Hispanics, so most people think I'm Hispanic, but no Hispanic blood in myself. But yeah, so obviously that influenced the culture, cultural backgrounds and how they see snakes and that kind of thing. That influences a lot. So
100%.
Growing up, it was, in India, they do respect snakes and that kind of thing, especially Hindu religion. However, my family's Christian background, and so they would see it more as like an evil thing.
Yeah.
But you see, you do have the snake charmers there, and but I don't know, you get the reptile gene, I guess, and you want you got it in you for. I mean, I like animals in general, but reptiles always kind of been part of the lifestyle and what I've done. So
how did the family take it when you said, hey, this is what I want to do? Like, I want to keep snakes and I want to breed them and make all these different colors and patterns, and I think this is kind of what I want my hobby to be.
Yeah. So it actually, it's funny. So, because growing up, I was always, I mean, like most of you guys, catching snakes, trying to sneak them into the house. My mom wouldn't have any of it. But like, I had a guy, he was in I think in 8th grade. He sold me a garter snake, a pregnant garter snake, $30, my whole savings. I got it into the house, and then my mom found it, but she actually let me keep it in the garage. But I mean, it's Dallas in the garage. That thing didn't have a chance.
It didn't have a chance.
So, and then, throughout high school, I was sneaking snakes in constantly. Got a berm, had that for like 3 weeks, just pounding it with food. It was massive within a certain amount of time. But really, by my junior year, I had convinced my parents to let me keep some snakes in the room, and so that was basically because I had spent about 4 years on. There was a website called kingsnake.com, and I just learned everything that I possibly could about snakes, genetics. This, I guess, would have been 98 to 2002 or so, and it was just I was obsessed with it, and so I got to have those snakes as soon as I moved out for college. I got to, I mean, I was living with a friend, so I picked up a false water cobra, and so at that time, I guess I had some ball pythons, boa constrictor, and false water cobra, and I was planning on just expanding that collection. I was out in East Texas, so out by Tyler, if you know Tyler, Texas area. And Texas at that time, I mean, there are no laws on anything. I don't remember anything. I mean, you could just go have it. First time I was exposed to this hobby is when I went and bought. Yeah, I bought a my boa constrictor from a guy. He called himself North Texas Reptiles. I've tried to find him, can't find him now. But I guess I was maybe 16, 17, drive over to his house or his apartment, and I open it up. Walk into his apartment. The first thing that greets me is like they're called a coatimundi. It's like a raccoon type thing with a diaper on in his apartment. And I walk in, and he's got this massive, probably, I mean, it was massive in my mind at that time, but I'm guessing probably a 6x2x2, 2 huge black forest cobras in the middle of his living room, and then racks of every kind of snake you can imagine. I'm a 16, 17-year-old kid. He gives me the boa. But then he takes me to his room. He's showing me baby gaboons, baby cobras, all of that in his apartment bedroom. I was like, "This is amazing!" I was going nuts. This is what I want to do. But yeah, so I was exposed pretty early on to the hobby as it was then, and being on the forums at that time. I remember all the big names at that time: Ralph Davis, Ozzy was on there, and you see people. The bells, they post stuff. I remember when the first bell, the blue-eyed leucistic was posted. I remember the egg cut and the eye was blue, and everybody was going nuts, you know. But after that, after kind of the first semester, I dropped out of college in 3 weeks. I was like, no, this is not for me. And I ended up moving down to Costa Rica. I had an opportunity to do that. And while I was down there, obviously you couldn't keep any snakes, but herping there is apparent. Like you run into anything you can imagine. And so even though I was there 9 years, I didn't get to keep anything. I lived in several different areas, most of them rural, and you run again. I mean, I think I caught crebos, rattlesnakes, fertile ants, everything that's down there. They did have like a serpentarium that had a big bushmaster, which is down there. You have boas, everything. I mean, it's really cool to go herping down there. So I was in that world, and I would occasionally like hit up kingsnake.com. It was funny because over the years you see that there was no change in the website over many years. It just stayed the same. If you look at it now, it looks the exact same as it did in 1998 or 1990. And so when we moved back to the States, and during that time, because I couldn't have reptiles, like I bred dogs. I actually worked with security and military dogs, so Dutch Shepherds and Belgian Malinois. I had some of my own mixes that I was trying to create some cool stuff.
Nice.
But so when I got back to the States and couldn't do that anymore, I did like just check into the reptile hobby. It was changing a bunch. This was probably 2011, and I'd go to a show and you'd see a kid walking around with like a blue-eyed Lucy. I was like, I'm guessing it's not the whatever, 60 grand it was when last time I saw it. But just kept my eye on it. And then, but my wife, she's from Costa Rica, they're pretty much any snake that they see is probably venomous. So they try to stay away from it a lot. And so she wasn't having that. But during COVID, my kids and I actually convinced her to let us get a snake. And as soon as we got that, and then I was like, hey, listen, I know this. I think I can make an actual pay it for yourself hobby out of this. And we convinced her to get, I let her, she's like, okay, 3 snakes. So I got a male and two females to start out with. And then once I started producing, it was just like, man, I can really make something of this. So what was
the first 3 snakes you got, and how long was that honey-do list once you convinced her to say yes?
Well, here's the secret. You might not be able to convince your wife, but your kids can. So I was actually looking at some blood pythons, and then just because I'd always wanted one and I'd never had one. And then I some video I stumbled upon on YouTube, and I started seeing all the different morphs, and I found Morph Market. And that was really the problem. Since I already understood how genetics work in the ball python world, at least, it wasn't difficult. The problem with the first 3 snakes, so what I saw albino het pied. Now, when I was in, a pied was like 25 grand. I remember going to, it wasn't the NARBC at that time, but Arlington's always had a show. And so like 2001, I went, and Bob Clark had a table of like 20 pieds for 25 grand each. And so I saw, and albinos were probably around 4 or 5 grand at the time. And so I saw this male albino het pied for $350. I was like, sold. It's kind of my dream thing right there already for $350. And then I bought a double head albino pied and a pied pos het albino, and they were already adult females. So I bought them all as adults.
Nice.
And then I figured, hey, I already have 1 male and 2 females. Then I might as well get another 2 females because he can breed all 4, right? And I was able to find, I think it was 2, because I had seen Candy and Candino, and all. I got like 2. They were het candies and they were pos het pieds. And I was like, okay, maybe I could hit like Al Candino pied or something like out of that. And so that was kind of my first season. I forget if I had a couple others, but pretty soon after the first season, I think I had 4 clutches. I think I hit 100% on the first season.
It's funny how it's kind of easy to do it when you first start out, right? And then as you progressively grow it, you're just like, oh, I'm watching these odds shrink.
They're shifting. Well, and the other thing is, so a bunch, the double het candy pies didn't prove out het pied, and then one had 10 eggs and only 2 candinos came out. I hit literally 20% on the odds. And so, but it was 2021. Like people were buying normals all over the place. So all of a sudden I was like, I just made like 15 grand off of almost normal stuff, just because I had so many and they had albino and het pied and people were buying. I was like, I can do this. So immediately I just, I was listening to different podcasts and stuff, and I heard Levance talking on MJ's podcast. I don't know if it was the first episode or second. And he goes, buy all the double visual females you can buy. I was like, okay, so that's the first thing. And then I had already, for some reason, I'd been really attracted to Desert Ghost. I think it was because when I was first in ball pythons, pastel was a big deal. They're like $6,000 or something like that. And I saw that this was a pastel that didn't fade out. And so I hit up Levance. I bought, and at that time, it was still before the COVID boom, I guess, because I got 2 for like 500, 2 females for like $500 a piece.
Back when everyone was still thinking Desert Ghost and Desert were the same thing.
I
it was
guess,
like super cheap.
Yeah. And so, but right after right after that is when everything started taking off. But what I did was, I actually, because it was, interest rates were bottoming out on houses, so I was going to refinance anyways. We had good equity. I took some extra money out, used that to buy some racks, and then just stock up on either visual plus het or double visual females. So I got like a couple of DG het pied females, clown pied female, clown het DG female, and by this time the prices were going up. So I mean, I spent probably most of my money on those four females, and then just out of my sales, I was able to get some powerful males, and that kind of put me in the position where I was the following year, with a pretty powerful and not super common codom into my DG clown project, and I just happened to hit what I needed to hit to propel the project forward. So, yeah.
So you went for the first year. How fast did this kind of take off, and what was the wife's reaction? Like, obviously the kids are on board at this point.
Yeah. So she was good. I mean, she trusts me she's a great wife, right? Basically, once I got the racks, I got a 1 ARS rack, 5540 ARS rack, and then like half a rack of the 75 or 1075, whatever the hatchling rack is for ARS. So I knew that I needed to fill them up, and so, but what I did is I went to my wife and said, "Hey, look at all this money we made. I'm going to reinvest it." She's like, "Okay." I mean, it didn't affect us financially or anything, and so I just started buying up what I thought I needed to buy, and then the following year, I actually had a cousin of mine. He heard about what I was doing. We were actually going to go try to invest in a property in Costa Rica because he was excited about that. And I said, "Hey man, right now I'm invested in something else." And he's like, "Well, what is it?" And I told him, and he's a lawyer up in New York, and so he's just thinking about, the business side of things. And he's like, "Well, that sounds like ridiculous margins." And so he came in and we bought some pretty cool stuff. So he learned, it's amazing. He learned everything. And so he's never touched a snake in his life. He's never seen a real snake in his life, but he knows everything about ball pythons and genetics. It's hilarious. So
that's a good backer though. Like, that's one of those things you don't often get. They're kind of like, "Hey, I'll throw you the money. I just want my cut and make sure that you hit that margin."
Yeah.
But no, that's good, man. Like, the investment there is more than just monetary. So that's
correct. And we had we were probably kind of close when we were young, and then just you get older and you don't talk that much. And now we talk like every day, and we talk about strategy and all that. And he helps with any of the business side because I'm pretty entrepreneurial, but like I don't know how things work a lot of times. I'll have vision, and then the whole implementation and details I'm not thinking about, and so he's able to help me with that. So it works really well. So
freaking awesome.
Yeah,
that's super important. And I don't think a lot of people realize that is kind of there's a lot of people like us, right? Like we have stupid amount of ideas and we can all make them work. We're willing to put the sweat equity into it, but sometimes we don't understand how to fully implement those, like you were saying. So having that mentor on the business aspect that's kind of ran one or understands the loopholes or the ins and outs, so to speak. I said loopholes first. That's bad. Like I'm trying to get away with something, but you know what I mean. You know.
Yeah.
Having someone to mentor you on that aspect is so huge in anything that you're doing, because that is literally what can make or break you in a single year. Like just messing up. Like I'm assuming at this point you're making nice enough animals. You probably have this license. You have it all set up properly, right?
Yeah. So if I started like for real breeding early 2020, then by December of that year, I already had my LLC and everything like that. Now I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I needed to do it. And it's easy enough to figure it out. And I wanted a business account, and you have to get an LLC to get the business account. And then with that, obviously, comes a little bit of professionality to your business. I had a friend of mine do my original logo, and it was great for the first year or so, and then you have to up your game. And I had a good friend who he does this professionally, and he's done the logos for a lot of big companies in where we live in Greenville, South Carolina. And so I asked him, and he helped me out, and I think he did a great job with it. And so yeah, all those aspects, and once again, like you're growing. It's just this huge, steep learning curve. And I like all that. I like change. I like trying to figure things out. I can get down pretty quick when things don't work out, or they're, I mean, even it's interesting. A couple of the only two animals, well, no, I've had maybe 4 animals that have ever gotten, sick for some reason. And the two first snakes that I got originally for my projects, they were never healthy, strong animals. And so that was very, that wasn't super encouraging. And like, and recently I found out that one of my other original snakes that I got, he was supposedly het pied. He's not het pied. And I found out because the guy I sold him to as a het pied, because I thought I had proved out, but it happened to be another male that took, like, he's not het pied. And so you got to go back and fix all these mistakes that you made at the very beginning, IDs and stuff, and what
it's hard, man.
Yeah. Like and thankfully people are really gracious. Most of the time they're really gracious when you're humble about it and try to make things right. Then I think most people understand that you can make mistakes. So at least at this level. I think there's other guys at other levels, people just don't give them a break, but
you'll get there. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's definitely a level thing. Like I think once you hit a certain level, expectations there are a different caliber. You know what I mean? Yeah, like here, even being an actual business, like yes, you want to present yourself the best way possible, right? And you want to always be professional. Like I found myself I used to curse so much, man, like so much, and they still slip out. Don't get me wrong. Like I was in the Army for 7 years, like, and I'm 4th generation military. Like it happens. Like curse words were like our English growing up. So I'm working really hard because I don't want to pass that on to my kids. But it's just like, man, because I've done it. I've talked to people that were like willing to invest, and I didn't think about it. And I just let one slip, and it wasn't even like a heavy curse word, but it was one curse word, and they're like, "Oh, he's not professional. I'm not doing this." I've watched things go out the window because of it, So trying to be better, try to be a little bit more professional, try to up your game, like you were saying, like whether it's husbandry, whether it's the way you market. I finally started. Oh, this hurts my heart. I was always like, I am never going to pay for an ad. I'm never going to do any of this. Like, just let it grow organically. What it does. I think I'm addicted now, and we might go bankrupt because of it. But I ran one ad, dude, and I've only ran it for like 3 days. And the growth that I have seen off of that one ad is just
Okay, tell me about this, because this is one thing that I've thought about, but I haven't done it. So is it like an Instagram ad or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I paid for an ad on Instagram. It's going to run for a week.
Okay.
I think I pay like $5 or $6 a day. So it's not huge. It's like 30, $35, right?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. They're saying they guarantee about 5,000 people come to my profile. So out of that 5,000 people that will come onto my profile, or ensure that they see that outside of my followers, right? Mm-hmm. The conversion rate that I've got for people like looking through my reels and starting to like everything and starting to add on is freaking bonkers to me, because I struggle to add like 500 to 1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Like I'm putting in work to get those numbers. You know what I mean? And within this week, I think I've added like almost 200 people.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, yeah. So I wake up every morning and I'm trying to think, okay, what's one thing I can do to push the business forward? Whether it could be husbandry, it could be posting something. I do have a YouTube channel now, which it took me forever to get started, and I was trying different things. I've worked hard for Instagram, but I do see how slow that goes. And so I've toyed with the idea, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I actually don't want followers. I want followers who want to be part of who want to support what I'm doing and want to, are interested in the projects that I'm working with and want to add their, what I'm doing to their projects. And so, I've thought about
it, dude. It's addicting.
Like, but can TikTok actually add anything to the business, right?
No. So hold on that. If we want to go down that rabbit hole, hold on that. One, I have buddies, and this is no joke. I have buddies I have two that live within 10 minutes of me. They're making an extra $12,000+ a year off of TikTok, just off of TikTok alone. I have one buddy that has full clutches, and I'm not going to say to do this. Don't do this. I'm not going to say who they are, where they're from, any of that. I'm just saying, we've talked about it. This dude has his animals sold before they're even out of the egg.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're looking for, right?
I mean, he has so much demand that he cannot fill it. He does not have the supply to meet his demand.
Yeah.
Like literally, he cuts an egg open, shows it off, and it's sold.
So is it certain projects that he's working, or is it pet level?
It's almost like, the way I would relate it and the way that he says it, it's almost like it's like a shark attack when it smells blood, right?
A frenzy.
Like, yeah, it's a freaking feeding frenzy. Yeah. They get all excited because he's like, well, someone starts talking about wanting to buy it, and then everyone just jumps, oh, I'll PM you, or I'll DM you, or I'll hit you up, and they'll start bidding each other up and like making it ridiculous, dude. And you know what? He's doing what he's doing.
Converts into sales. That's cool. I mean, that's what
like. I'm not going to say that it's 100% every time that they do it, but he's doing good. Like, he pulled his Morph Market account. He said, I will never use Morph Market again. I don't need to.
Okay.
But he also doesn't plan on like getting to warehouse level.
Yeah.
So he's happy where he is. It's just a small hobby.
Well,
so he'll always be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, potentially. We'll see.
Yeah. Things change pretty quick in this industry.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I like what Brandon said here. Total numbers don't matter. Actual supporters.
Yeah.
I very much so have that feeling, but I'm just saying, like, it's an addiction, man. And I give a lot of people a hard time on what they post sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like, what's the word? It starts with an S. Sensationalizing stuff, right? Yeah. To get the view or to get that click and get that donation and all that, right? Like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I understand it now after paying for one ad. Like, you get you get good response. But again, out of that, like you were saying, how much of that's actually going to convert? Because are they actually there for you, or was that ad just enough to draw them in and they're like, okay, this is cool, I'll give it a follow, and then forget about it?
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, one thing I've struggled with, so I enjoy, for example, Instagram as a platform, show off the snakes and the projects and everything. And yet at the same time, I had to come to a point with being like, okay, should I use it as a platform to sell as well? Because here I do have, 3,500 followers. Now, obviously, I don't know how many of them, depending on the algorithm, actually see my posts. But there are people that I've grown for the most part organically. And then, so at least they might have some interest in what I'm doing. And so I come to I guess the tension in my mind is, do I make it super salesy? Do I not do it? I don't want to come across as always, that's all I'm doing, but I do need to use the platform if I'm going to move any snakes. And for me, Morph Market has been pretty slow this year. I mean, I'm moving snakes.
I think that's fair for everyone.
Yeah.
You can say it, man. It's okay.
So it's been a bit of a conflict in my mind. Is how much do I use it just to show off my projects? How much do I use it to actually try to move people towards at least going to my website or going to my Morph Market page, or even hitting me up, DMing me about a snake that I might have for sale. So, but it's kind of a thin line. You don't want to seem like that's all you're doing, and at the same time you want to seem personable and hit people up on Instagram. So I'm learning at all of that. So, and I actually would not be on any social media except if it weren't for this business. So, like, I'm not a huge fan of it. It is what it is. You got to use the tools that are available.
I will admit I'm rather addicted to it, and it's only gotten worse because of the business.
Yeah.
It is something that I'm slowly turning away from, thankfully. Like I'm doing better about spacing time. So I'll be like, okay, this is actual work media time.
Yeah.
This is play social media time, which kind of coincides now because everything's snake related.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so hard, dude. Like I don't have an alcohol issue. I don't have a gambling issue. I don't have a dependency on anything. I'm addicted to freaking social media.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to social
Man, we all got something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Animals and social media, man. It's going to be my downfall, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of your plan, like you, and it's you said cousin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you and your cousin come into this. Do you vend it all? Have you been primarily online, or what's kind of like the game plan? Because you're getting up to more snakes than one person can do. So
my collection is actually pretty small. I've kept it small. My room is very small. Some of the guys on here have been in it. You can't touch all four walls staying in the middle, but it's close to there.
Pretty close, yeah. I feel you. I'm in 110 square feet. I know exactly.
I've had to be extremely, extremely picky with my projects, and since I'm working 2 double recessives pointed towards a triple recessive, then I've had to be very, very particular about what I buy. Even I was trying to get into another triple recessive last year, and as soon as I started, and I got the animals for it, and as soon as I started doing the math, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I got to move these animals and get more animals that actually fit in my current projects. So right now we're still, I mean, like you always say, you're always in the building phase. This year I'm actually going to be selling off some things. However, like even this morning we were talking, my cousin and I, and like we're creating some things that no one else is selling, or they're selling for extreme, I mean, it's very high priced. And so we might as well keep them back. And so what I might be doing is probably expanding to the room and space, but limiting very much the amount of snakes that I'm buying, just holding what we're producing back, because you can't. It's more difficult to find them.
And
so going forward,
and it's
ball pythons, like that's. I mean, just keep on building, and we'll talk about my projects in a little bit. But on the projects that I have, and then so I've got a guy in the same area. I don't know if you know Terry Burwell. He's been in this forever. TB Snakes. but he does everything. Like he's got an amazing collection of rough scale diamonds, rhino, rat snakes, Barons racers, dog, whatever, the cat-eyed dog tooth, whatever that snake, Sumatrans, everything. And so when I go over to his place, like I'm still passionate about all these different species of snakes. So I would hope that in the future I'd be able to get into some other species, especially a pair of diamonds, a pair of roughies, a pair of Angolans, something like that.
Diamonds are so freaking gorgeous.
Oh man, it is amazing, and just the challenge of, okay, can I get these snakes to breed? Can I get the baby start? It's just it's a new challenge. So over here you have the ball pythons and just the amazing things you can create with them. And then over on the other side you have all these different species that you can. And I like locality, just stuff that is harder to get, more difficult things to get a hold of. Like I like trying to think about and trying to propagate those kind of species. So I would hope maybe not in the next couple of years, but 5-10 years down the road, I'm able to do a couple of side projects like that. The difficulty where I live, there's certain laws that we would have to get permits and that kind of stuff. And then the other part is when you spend money on that, you're like, I could be spending it on the ball pythons and another project that we could be working there. So all part of you having to balance all that out. And I really look up to those guys who have multiple species. Like it's very impressive to me to see how they're able to run their collections. I really like that. So
I think it's super important, man. Diversification of. So I'm not gonna lie, I love ball pythons for the genetic aspect. I love ball pythons because it's a staple. It always will be a staple. You're never going to get rid of ball pythons. As much as we produce, people struggle moving them because of them. I don't think there's a way to not move animals if you really want to move animals. You know what I mean? But diversification of the species that you work is so important because it keeps you motivated, man. Yeah. Like you continuously challenge yourself, but then you get to look back and be like, well, so like, let's talk about a lot of the stuff that popped up in ball pythons, right? They got the ideas to make those crazy morphs from boas. Because they saw how like the IMGs and stuff were reacting in boas. Yeah. They applied that to ball pythons, and then you start getting these crazy black snakes and everything else, right? And you really started that line breeding mentality, which is great. And it's done so much for our industry because of it. And then you jump into like just locality pure, like for retic people. Like I love my retic. I'm gonna say I'll never get rid of her. There might be a day where I have to, just because of my physical limitations, right? I hope to never have to, but the super dwarf, the locality stuff, all of that's so important to keep pure bloodlines, especially since we can't bring them in anymore. Yeah. So it's how do we work these bloodlines but keep them separate enough generationally that we're not inbreeding them too much with what's in the States. Yeah, sure. Everything, man. Like there's so much. And like you were saying, the difficulty of some species, like I have a buddy here locally that he does nothing but hots. And he's trying to be one of the first people in the States to successfully breed Mingshan vipers. Okay. I know of one zoo and I think like 2 or 3 other people in the States that have successfully done it, just because it's so hard to keep them. It's so hard to get them to breed. Yeah. I want to do bolins, dude, like white lip bolins, like the pinnacle snakes that no one can breed. Yeah. I just want to be like, man, that's my life goal. Like I got to build up the savings with the ball pythons right now, play with a little bit harder stuff, work my way up. I want to hit those pinnacle animals that no one can breed and just like find a way to regularly breed them. Yeah. And I'll listen to a lot of the other podcasts that have to do with a lot of other species. And you can apply that to just the ideas, because they have to work harder, right? To get their animals to eat.
they have to work harder to get them breed. And so you can take some of that and apply it to the ball pythons, which, I mean, it's working, but can you make it more efficient? Can you make it better for them? So I enjoy the whole herpetoculture, the whole culture that is the reptile industry. You learn a lot. I mean, it's interesting and something good. And I think especially if you, most of us, it's a love not just for the reptile, it's a love for animals in general. And so this is something you get to be your own zoo kind of thing. And obviously not everybody needs to probably do that, but there's plenty to learn from. So
I love that, man. That's probably the hardest thing. Like looking, I have a fly in this room. Looking at people and seeing, like, we get that hoarder mentality with snakes, right? Because we see all the top guys working, like, what's Wilbanks at, like 10,000 animals, something crazy like that.
I heard 3,000 clutches.
Well, yeah, he does like 3,000, 4,000 clutches a year of ball pythons alone. That's not counting like the colubrids that he does and everything else. And like he's got like 3 facilities on his property and all this other stuff. But like you think like that's a major zoo. That's not even a little private zoo. That's a major zoo. It's a major operation. Yeah. We all kind of fall into that mentality, even at a small level. Well, responsibly, let's see what we can focus on, and then let's bring that back to what we know, what keeps our interest peaked. Because if let's be honest, like there's those days where you go to work. I don't go to work, but people go to work. They come back and they're like, I could clean that poop tomorrow. I don't want to open that tub. I don't want to change that water today. They don't want to think about this one messed me up, man. When I had Tom Barnhart on here and he was talking about his background in water and all the freaking bacteria that sits in still water. And it's like, what's the first thing that an animal does as soon as you give them fresh water? What do? You go straight to the water and they get their saliva all over in it, right? A day later, the bacteria growth in that water would like make some people that are like germaphobes just like seize up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like do what's within your means.
Yeah.
Do what's within your means.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us as breeders and even keepers sometimes because you get that itch and you're like, I got to do more. I see other people doing more. I got to do more.
Yeah. For sure.
So how big is your operation right now? Since we're talking at this level, let's talk about the size of your operation.
Yeah.
And
so
what the insight is, or like what you would like to see it get to comfortably.
Yeah. So this year I'm going to finish up. I thought it was going to be 8 clutches, but I have a girl that's about to ovulate that I didn't expect to go. So she's going to go. And then I just started pairing for the next season because I have 2 females that go later in the year, but they'll probably hatch in 2024. So I won't count them. But so, 8 clutches. And I think even eventually I wouldn't want to do more than 15, 20 clutches. I say that. I mean, if I got 30, I'm not going to be complaining. But I've worked towards really having high-end clutches. It's been interesting because, and it was a good question. I think Adam from Proper Royals asked me once. He said, "So you think it's a valid business model?" And I noticed that I can move pet, especially probably 300 and down. I can move that super easy where I'm at. And then for me this year, snakes between 500 to 800 have moved decent, and the high end stuff has not moved hardly anything this year. Whereas in previous years, I saw them moving mainly because I was on the buying side, so I was buying high end. So I figured there were other buyers like that. And so I'm rethinking. Hey, do I need to do a couple of clutches that are just pay the bills? Well, I keep with the focus on the high end, but I would still like to limit it. I would, in my current setup, I could probably have 35 adult females and 5 males. And then what I would like to maybe get to is maybe 60 adult females and 15 males, something like that. And just do the Aussie method of upgrading every year, or a lot of people do it, but upgrading every year with what's coming up. So right now I literally have maybe 20, I think I have 24 adults, and then 35 hatchlings, including the last clutch that I just cut, and maybe three of those are sub-adults that are still in the hatchling rack. But so it's not a big. I mean, comparatively, it's a very small operation. It doesn't take a lot from me. Because I enjoy it. I'm in there every morning and every evening. But just checking everything, and maybe a long day of work for me right now is 2 or 3 hours in the room. But it's not bad at all. And so I can handle more, and I would like to handle more. It's just a matter of how we grow. And so the growing is slow. Like after I made my initial purchases, I haven't. And it takes everything in me, right, to not do it. But so this year I made very few purchases. This next coming year, it's probably, once again, very, very few purchases, especially as the value of the collection goes up. You get biosecurity. I'm really worried. That freaks me out a bit. and so, mainly the reinvestment into the business this year, as far as the animals go, is all holdbacks. And then, and we can talk about that a little bit. And then, like I said, if I can expand a bit, so it might be some infrastructural expansion, whether that's some more racks, building out my room, new AC, HVAC, or something like that. But that's mainly going to be the expansion part of it. So.
Okay, nice. So I will say, take it or leave it. As far as advice, you have some great perspective based off of what you've learned from Ozzy. Tom Barnhart has ran a very successful small business out of 2 breeder racks for the last, 22 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Right? Like, so much so that his line is sought after out of 2 breeder racks.
Yes,
and that's it. He has a very small setup. It works. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And I applaud you for being able to say, okay, well, this is what I see it as, and this is what I can handle, and saying this is what the limit's going to be. Because I know when I first started, I looked at my wife and I looked at those that were willing to be a part of it. And I was like, I hope you guys are ready. Mm-hmm. Because I showed him a video from BHB, and I was like, what it's going to.
This is what's going
to. I will not stop until it is here.
Yeah.
Once you reach this level. And then I started talking to people like David Levinson and William Philippek, and people that have been with like Ben Rennick when he was still alive, and saw the infrastructure and the overhead and all of that goes in to a company like that, man. And I gotta tell you that brought reality back real quick, right? Yeah. Real quick. So the fact that you have the ability to discipline yourself to that, it's outstanding.
Yeah. And it's not this is more apples to oranges comparison, but like I said, I used to do dogs, and these are big dogs. They're strong dogs. So how military dogs are, if you've been around them, they're very, very high drive. And depending on the personality of the dog, some will constantly test you. And those, like, I like the extreme, and the extreme breed the best. I mean, they throw the best of the best. So I like that. But you have to be well set up to manage that, because if you don't have the kennels that are needed, the strong enough kennels that are needed, the infrastructure, anything, it is a total liability. And so, like I said, it's not the exact same thing, because they're mammals. They probably need a bit more care, but you can go, 5 of those dogs takes so much work. And it's the same thing. The snakes, we feel like it doesn't take, because individuals don't take that much work, but when you're looking at 50, 100, 150, 200 snakes, and you want to keep a well, you want an efficient, well-oiled collection. Everything's going smoothly. That takes a ton of work. And so, I would, if I was full-time, I would that'd be a dream job for me. I like it. But when you have family, you have other obligations, you have your own work, you have and some of my work requires travel, so you have to be on top of that. So right now that's the size I'm at. And like I said, I'd like to expand, and I'm expecting to the next 2 or 3 years. Hopefully, I'll get to do that, but it's slow, man. And sometimes I want to get ahead of it. Obviously, we always want to get ahead of that, but sometimes you just got to give it time to grow. So,
yeah, absolutely, brother. I feel that 100%. I'm fighting myself still at this point. I told my wife, I was like, I need an outbuilding. I need at least 20 by 40. That's going to be only for snakes.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to build another building for rats. And she's like, slow your roll, one step at a time. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be like, I'd be in a lot of trouble. This 1,700 square foot house would be filled wall to wall, ceiling to floor, going right now.
Well, my dad told me when I was getting married, he said, look, you're gonna, because he knew me pretty well. He goes, look, if you're a car, you're the accelerator. She's gonna be the brakes, and a car can't drive without brakes, and so she's gonna bring wisdom into your life, and that is definitely what she's been able to do. Even, I mean, and it's not about stopping your dreams or anything. It's about being wise. Really, it's about thinking well about your limits and what you can do. And sometimes we don't think that well about things, or we push ourselves hard, and then what suffers is everything. I mean, financial, family, the animals, everything loses out in that situation. So just got to be careful.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the project, man. Like, what brought us together? What made you stop at the table? And we were just like, we're geeking out over one project and one project alone. I think everyone probably knows it at this point. I've worked most of my season around it this year. Well, I'd say a good portion of my season around that project. You've done a lot of work with it. DG Clowns, man. Yeah. What brought you to the DG Clown route? And let's talk about some of the craziness that you've hatched this year.
Yeah. So, well, originally, like I said, DG caught my eye really soon after I got into the hobby. And then I heard, hey, double recess is where we need to go. And so I was looking at females. Okay, I need to get my females, whether it's double hets or it's a het plus a visual. Obviously, I wasn't buying at that time female double visuals. They were very, very expensive. But I knew how genetics work and how you can make your own. But I also wanted to be careful about getting something that everybody else had. Now, I did originally, I did pick up the typical pastel inchy DG het clown male, and then I had different females. I was just going to put him to female clowns that I had picked up, so I could make more clown het DGs and that kind of thing. And I do think they have their place. I think pastel and inchy both have their place in the DG clown project. I think they're gorgeous. I actually like pastel. I know there's a lot of people that don't like pastel. I like it even in clown for the most part. Obviously, DG needs to be a part of that, but there's some. It's funny because I got a lot of it out of my collection. I don't have much of it, but I have seen some combos that you can see on my Instagram even that it's just you need pastel in them.
It brings new life back to it.
It brings another level into it. So it is what it is. I know people, I think pastel DG clowns sell for less than DG clowns, but I mean, it is what it is. I think it's all right. So
they all go at it hurts to say it. The last year, we felt that hit in that combo, man.
Yeah, and
all good.
Not just DG clowns. I mean, DG pies and everything. So my second year though was my DG clown year, and it was mainly because I picked up a male that I considered different. It wasn't very common, and I paid a lot of money since he was just a double het, but I thought it was going to be worth it, and so I picked up a male blackhead double het DG clown. I got it from David Levinson, but he wasn't the one who produced it. Will from RCR had produced him and sent it down to him. And basically, I didn't have the money at the time. I said, hey, would you give me 3 months to pay them off, and they were both very kind. Said yeah, and then I was able to pay them off within 30 days. So everybody was happy with that. But I mean, that took some sacrifice because it went with the females that I had.
Right.
And so, and he was probably already 350 grams. For some reason, no one else had bought him. Maybe the price, but I knew that if I could hit on that project, then I'd be ahead. And so picked him up, and I started, I guess last year he went to a DG, and he went to a clown het DG, and he went to a pastel blackhead het DG. So just 3 clutches, but hit really, really good odds. So when he went to the DG, I got several blackhead DG, several blackhead DGs, several DGs, and they shed tested them. Most of them came out het clown. So it really worked out well. And he also threw some really crazy looking babies that you wouldn't say. I mean, and I don't know if it's red gene, ringer gene, but even some of the clowns he produced, they were so bright that I thought they were DG clowns, and they turned out not to be DG clowns, but they definitely weren't normal clowns. You could see a normal clown, and then you saw 3 that were like, what in the world is this? And then you saw the DG clown. So whatever he had in him, he's passed it on to his offspring, and I've held quite a bit back. But he did produce the blackhead DG clown, and that was last November or October. So he's almost a year, and he just happened to be one of those snakes that, I mean, he grew. It didn't matter how little I fed him or how much I fed him. I don't feed I feed him every 7 to 10 days. I don't overfeed him. I'll take 2 weeks off, and he just keeps on growing. So he's about 900 or 1,000 grams, and he's already. I have 2 females that he's going to at this time. I'm gonna get him to these 2 females, and then he'll have a break before actually getting into the for real season. So that went really well. I had that pastel inchy DG het clown. I took him to an OD fire clown, and the 2 visual clowns, I missed on the pastel, and I hit an OD fire clown het DG and a OD inchy fire clown het DG. So those are both females. Once again, just crazy good eaters, and they probably are going. They'll be going later this season to most likely to the blackhead DG clown. Although one of my blackhead DG het clown males, I was able to trade for a really cool snake, and it's a blackhead OD pied that's het DG, and so I'm actually thinking about taking that to the OD inchy fire clown het DG, so we can hit. I mean, we might be able to hit super OD blackhead combo DGs that are double het clown pie. You know, that kind of craziness. I'd like, since we have shed testing now, I think it's all right to make some of those longer, because I'll still be able to take my blackhead DG clown to the sister and make some cool combos. But so my main projects obviously is DG clown, DG pied, and then getting blackhead plus other codoms in it. So I've really focused on blackhead. The blackhead DG clown, you can see some of his pictures on my Instagram. I'm not at home with the snakes right now, but he came out really interesting. I suspect he has whatever brightening gene was in some of the things that the dad. I don't think he's just blackhead DG clown, because he came out kind of. There was a time where I was like, he's not, it's not that contrast. He's almost washed out. But now as he's gotten older and bigger, it's really come back as well. So that one, you put it up. That's the blackhead, the pastel blackhead DG het clown, but he doesn't look like any pastel blackhead DG that anyone else is. And so
I don't know if you could see my cursor, but
yes. So
it's based off that. I would say you have either red gene or ringer gene going on.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing, if you look at his head, and it's actually super black, except it's faded out because of the pastel and the DG.
Right.
And so I was wondering, he was actually up for sale for a bit, and I took him down because, well, someone was going to buy him. I was like, oh, I'll give you this other one. Because I started to suspect that he actually might be super blackhead. And then he has these other genes that bring more pattern back into him. I could be completely wrong, but he just looks so different. So I'm gonna try to see that. out. So
is it in the reels? Are we hiding it?
The blackhead DG clown, yeah, I think it's in the reels. There's probably more of a reel of him. I think there's one with him breeding. If you go down a bit, keep going down, and he's breeding a pastel blackhead het DG. There you go, on that one. So yeah, that's him. And he's breeding right there a pastel blackhead het DG. So I'm hoping that I can hit a super blackhead DG and then see if the other one is or not.
Sick.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And she goes pretty late in the year. So I think last year she laid in end of October, early November. So we're right on track to see if we can get something from her. I do have that. There's a super pastel vanilla DG clown that's right below right next to your cursor there. I got that in a trade when I was getting out another triple recessive stuff, and I was able to trade for that and a Wookiee Inchy double het DG clown female. And so I wanted to get another dark gene in there, which the Wookiee is there. That one right there, I really regret. I sold her. No hets, but from what I remember, it's like I think it's Barnhart Line Black Pastel Inchy, and then I believe it's Yellow Belly Vanilla, maybe Calico in there as well. And I really should have kept her back, but you always let some things go that you should.
Yeah, we all have those ones, man.
Yeah. So last year was basically the DG clown building year, and then this year has all been DG pied stuff. So out of all my clutches, almost all of them have been DG pied. So I've produced quite a few visual DG pieds. If you haven't seen, the DG pied price is about half of what it was 8 months ago. But that's helped me decide. I was probably going to sell a couple female. Now I'm just going to hold all the females back, and I'll let the males go. But I might let one female go, but it really makes more sense to hold them back and for the future. So I have some DG pied, DG het pied things up for sale, and that's kind of been my season, just focusing on that. The last clutch that is out, and I think I've posted about that, was it's the triple recessive project. So bringing the two together, I was able to take that pastel Inchy DG het clown to a female clown pied. Amazing odds. She gave me 8 eggs, and 6 were visual clowns, which were amazing. And then of the 6 visual clowns, 5 were females. So, trying to figure out which ones to keep back. And only one of them had pastel in them. So trying to decide which which to keep back and which to sell. It's difficult because they're still going for a decent price. I think the visual double hets in that particular project. However, in 3 years, with what I'll tell you about this in a second. I was hoping they'd be out of the egg, but they're not out of the egg yet. But if I hit what I think I hit and it is a male, then all those females will be producing triple visuals. So it's hard for me to justify letting them go for the cash right now. I'm sure there's a number, but for the project itself, as you look into it going forward, I think I did better with the DG Clown with the DG Clown project, just in that I have codoms in it. My DG Pie stuff does not yet. So this coming season, the Blackhead OD Pied Het DG, I should be able to get that stuff into the DG Pied project. However, right now I'm just making straight DG Pies, which for the females, that's great. I think that's good. I should be able to get other codoms in the future, but with the DG Clown stuff, I'm way ahead as far as getting other codoms in and stuff. So
I think that's important too, man. Like, so many people have focused on just hitting that double. You got codoms in right away, and now you're, like you just brought up, you're looking at your future, how you're going to add other ones in. Let's face it, like, is it a shortcut to kind of hit that double visual and then just force everything in?
Yeah.
A little bit, but at the same time, like, do you want to make the thing that everyone else made, or do you want to be the first one to have like that codom layered double visual, which I think is what everyone's shooting for. Well, I won't say everyone, right? But because we already got guys like shooting for quads over here.
Yeah. And that's the other deal with as you look at the so there's so much to do even with just single gene recessives. And you bring that to the doubles, and you got people shooting for triples and quads. And like I would love to, and I am working that triple project, but there's so much to do with this with the doubles still. And so that's, I mean, if you have unlimited space, that's great. You can do it. And so I kind of feel like, man, I don't know if I should have gone this far ahead with the triples. I know that in a couple of years I'll be happy about it. Yeah. But right now it's like, oh, I could have been working harder the double visuals with plus the codoms. So I think it's just, you know, a lot is you do, like you said earlier, you do it what you can with what you have and the space that you have and the resources that you have and work it. And so even the folks that, I mean, you see some crazy clown stuff, you know, combo clown stuff. You see some crazy pied stuff. I know people don't, you know, pied's kind of taking a seat back, but like I got a friend, I think he just took like a super inchy mahogany yellow belly pied to a GHI pied. I was like, I want something out of that because I want to get it into my DG pied stuff. Because those aren't a lot of genes that are in DG pied right now. What you have are pastel and I don't know what OD and leopard. That's what you have in pied right
yellow
now.
Belly.
DG pied right now.
OD yellow belly.
Yeah, you don't have a whole lot. And so what happens when you mix darker genes into the DG pied stuff? And so I like different. I went ahead. I pulled the trigger. One of the snakes I bought this year was a lace het pied, but because I had a lace clown, and unfortunately that was one of the snakes that I got, and she was just never a strong snake, and she never came out of quarantine for me, and so she just didn't do well, and so my options were buy another lace het clown or lace clown, which I really like, but then I saw someone pop up a lace het pied. I was like, I know. I saw Justin produce something lace pied and it looked really unique. So can I get that into DG pied first, and then we'll work on getting into clown, you know? So so I like just different things, and you know, even if they're genes that a lot of people have, maybe putting them in combos that are a little bit different. So I was, like I said, I was really hoping this clutch would be out by tonight, and they decided not to crawl out. Even this morning I was texting my son because I'm not there right now. I was like, hey, are they out? Go take pictures. I want to go see. And this was kind of the clutch I was waiting for this year, and it was my DG pied male to a pastel stranger Krypton double het DG pied. So because it's a Krypton, everything's either going to be het cryptic or het clown, and then I had the chance to hit, you know, pastel stranger DG pied in there, and I don't even know what a stranger pied looks like. So we did cut on this past Wednesday, which was day 56.
You're not going to like this, but it looks a lot like a Leo pied.
Well, that's so. I've heard different things. I've heard something from Jason. Is it Jason Amos?
Jason Amos.
Yeah. And then I've heard, I think even Justin said, no, they just look like a normal pied or something like that. So I've heard differing things. We cut this. I have at least 2 DG pieds in there and at least 1 pied. My son swears it's DG pied as well, but I don't know. They all look weird. Like I've hatched 6 DG pieds this year. These look different. So I don't know what's going on, or if it's, there is a chance my DG pied male is also a cryptic or het cryptic. So I don't know if that's playing some. I'll find all that out as soon as they crawl out, but they haven't decided to crawl out. But like, you know, that kind of thing. If I hit and it's a male double visual plus a het, then obviously that puts my project very, very far along, and even, you know, could be producing triple visuals within 1 or 2 years, even back to the mom. With stranger and everything in that. So, I mean, those are really exciting things for me. A lot of them I have had to go, you know, with a longer odds type route. And that blackhead DG clown was the only DG in that clutch out of 8, and he was the only DG. So they just, and it lined up with the clown. So, and the blackhead. So you just, I mean, you put things together, and at other times you hit like that. This year I took my that same pastel inchy DG clown to a clown. Every single one had pastel in it. And I know, and then he's got other classes that's never produced, or I mean, that there are animals that aren't pastel, but every single one was pastel. And so, and those are harder to sell. But I mean, it's just, you don't, unless you take the shots, you're not gonna hit the odds, and sometimes you have to do that. So,
Exactly.
Another one, I wholesaled the whole clutch except one. You know, that kind of thing happens. So it's one of those weird things. Like, you got $25 snakes, you got $1,000 snakes, you got $5,000 snakes, all in the same clutch. So,
well, it's crazy too, because I know I'm gonna get murked for this probably if they ever listen to this. But I know someone that is potentially wholesaling guaranteed triple heads.
Yeah.
Guaranteed triple heads.
Like a normal male. I'm thinking about
Well,
that.
like normals, maybe one codom, and they didn't move for 6 months, and they have something better than that in the rack already. So they're going to wholesale it for like $20 to $50. And I'm just like, how? Like, I personally wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Like, there's just no way. But man, like, you imagine that? You imagine you're producing such fire stuff that you're just like, it's only a triple head. Let me wholesale this.
And what's funny is that, I mean, back in the day, hets, double heads, triple heads, those were money. Like, that's because that's the only way you could get into a project, unless you had 200 grand to get in or whatever it was. That was the only way you could get in. So a het pied costs a ton of money. Het albino costs a ton of money. A double head, I can't imagine what a double head albino pied would have cost back then. And that's the only way you get into the project. And now it's just is different, probably in a good way and in a bad way as well. But I mean, if I would guess a lot of people with normals that are pet owners, if they ever decided to breed their snakes, they'd get all kinds of stuff out of it. It's like corn snakes.
Don't listen to that part, guys. Don't listen to that part. Those PetSmart and Petco snakes,
yeah,
you won't breed those together.
Yeah, no,
or do it and run the lottery and make something stupid.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. Like, yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be more like that as we go towards triple and quads, because if people are breeding quad to quad, which makes sense. You're going to hit doubles, you're going to hit visual, singles, you're going to hit doubles, you're going to hit triples, and obviously 2 people this year hit quadruples. But everything else gets wholesaled out because there's all 66%. Who's going to buy 66% hets? I mean, I don't know who's going to pay for that, at least. So
I don't know, man. Like, that's a hard one too, because like that's one of the things me and my partner talked about, because we have that one clutch that we hit the 2 DG clowns in, right? But everything else came out visual clown.
Okay.
But it's all 66% het DG, and we're like, it's a 6-egg clutch. We already hit 2 visual DGs. Do we want to run the risk of the shed test, or do we want to just send it and just, if someone gets lucky, someone gets lucky?
Yeah.
And then on mine, it was a 66 to 100%. So it's a 60. Well, now it's 100 to 100, right?
Yeah.
We hit it, but so all of those babies that aren't visual are 66%, and I'm like, to do an entire shed test on that entire clutch is going to be expensive. And
so what I've been doing, because I've used shed tests, I've used RGI, and I recently used Charlie. He's in the chat with Gray Rider. He went much better with Charlie. I'll just say that it was fast and it was fun. I mean, it was good. Not the greatest results, but that's not his fault, right? But so I've just been like multi-gene males plus a visual. I'd test that het, and then any females, like if you hit clown 66% hit female, I do think those are worth testing out, because I don't know how much. I mean, if it is 66% het, I don't know if you're going to get that much more money than the normal clown, visual clown. But if she proves out het, then that does add quite a bit of value.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we talked about, but we were like, you know what? We kind of hit the odds that we were we hit better than the odds we were expecting. Like, do we want to chase the money or do we want to just play it safe? And then maybe they don't go down that route. This is going to sound really bad. People are going to start talking crap about me now. You're like, if I don't sell it as a head and just sell it as what you can visually see, maybe they won't chase the same route.
Project. Well, I mean, man, I mean, people get all upset. I don't know why. I mean, I understand. Like, for example, what's gone on with the market recently, and you see people lowering prices. So I was like, man, this is ridiculous. But then at the same time, a snake, I mean, an animal is valued at what someone will pay for it. So you can set the price for whatever you want, but if the market's not given to that, then it's not a real price, and so you have to match it. And I mean, I'm glad I haven't had to be the one that brings the market down, so I just wait till other people do it. But then, I mean, just you're still, I think if you're smart, it doesn't matter if it drops in half, especially with the recessives, you're still going to make your investment back. Yeah. So, but people, obviously, anytime there's money, there's a lot of times there's emotional aspects to people getting involved and all that. So, but it's to me, it's, you got to have fun and try to figure it out. The other option is you just keep all the females back and see which ones prove and which ones don't, and then you sell them. So you take the right male even if she doesn't prove, it's still going to be a powerful clutch. So
that's one of the things I was like, we're going to put this out and I'm going to keep this. Like, I kept a female. I was like, I don't want any males. Like, I could run an entire rack with that DG clown next year.
Yeah.
That we put up. But it's like, you take one of the males. We're going to sell a male. I'm going to keep the female that I produced out of my babies. I can go back, do pairings for more stuff next year. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'll eventually hit a male and I'll keep a male.
And that's a really good point that you just said. Which I think we all, we already talked about it, but we all are pretty impatient, and it is, I mean, a lot of why we get upset when things don't work out is because of our impatience. Because we have more shots at it. We just don't think that way sometimes. We don't think the long game sometimes, or at least that's me for sure. And so we got to be thinking long term. And that should help us kind of center us around what we're really trying to do. So, I mean, there's a great quote. I don't know if there's a book called Good to Great. What was his name? Jim Collins. But he I think it's in this book. He said a lot of the times we overestimate what we can do in the short amount of time and then underestimate what we do in the longer periods of time. And that's that's in any area, right?
Oh, I do that on the daily, dude.
But that's definitely, it applies really well to what we're doing as well. We tend to think in the first 3 seasons, I'm going to hit this, and we're going to do that and that. And then we quit if we had actually looked long term, 5, 10, 8, 10 years down the road, then, oh, wait, if we just slowly build, the flywheel starts moving, right? It's slow and it's an uphill battle, but once it gets going, and so you just gotta wait out that period. Push hard.
Okay, man. And I really think it plays into both. Like you said, it was a money issue, but it all ties into one another, right? Like we overdo what we think we can.
Yeah.
Which is what we were talking about before, right? Like keep it within a means that you can do yourself.
Yeah.
Or not even necessarily yourself, but what you have at your disposal, right? And we so much want to be that next biggest and best that sometimes we hold on to too much, to push too much.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, if I'm being honest with myself, which I hope I can be, and I hope most people can be honest with themselves. If I switched out my entire rack right now to DG clown stuff, right? And I gave up on every other project.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Bob, look at Justin, look at Levance, look at Josh Jackie, look at the main people that are really pushing DG clown stuff, Miguel right now, right? And there's no way, even with the full rack, like with the stuff that they've put together and what they have in the rest of their collection, I'm going to do stuff that probably entices them or like works into their project and is like that baseline for a lot of people in the project, but I'm just not at that size.
Yeah.
It's going to take me another 10, 15 years to not even catch them, but like be proficient in that project.
Yeah.
So what's another season?
Yeah. And there's the part where you can also benefit from their work, as because they're so cutting edge, they're pushing things forward. Then you can see what projects, not to emulate them or imitate them, but what fits into what your vision is for that project, and you can you can use your sales from maybe things that you don't want to keep to fund getting that one male that you want or that one female from that certain project. But it's hard to discipline yourself to do that, I think. And at the same time, not be like comparing yourself to these people, because it makes no sense. I mean, I know we all do it, but it really makes no sense for someone who's been in the game for 5-7 years and compare yourself to someone who's been in the game for 20 years. Like it just doesn't make sense. You're running different races, and so I think what we're doing mentally sometimes that slows us down, or maybe not slows us down, pins us down into a certain corner, and it doesn't allow us to really be as creative and innovative as we could be.
Absolutely. I think I love the way you said that, man. Like, we're all running different races. Just focus on your race. Like, yes, take aspects from what you're seeing from everyone else. Apply that to what you're doing.
You gotta learn.
But like, if you didn't go blackhead, right, we wouldn't know how blackhead interacted in this. Now we can play off of that. The blade, it's still a basic DG clown for most people, right? Like I have to sell it at a price for a normal DG clown and hope that someone sees it and appreciates it for what it is, because the blade brought in a slightly different palette, right? But honestly, does it change it that much? No, not really. As I'm trying to sell an animal. Yeah. Good job.
You don't know, but we don't know how that's ultimately going to react in a DG clown.
And honestly, if you take it and you run it through what we have seen in normal clowns now, right? Like, a lot of people are chasing Pompeii and different variations. Now, once we add something, like if you put a Pompeii into a DG clown at this point, you're going to wash out everything. Because we've seen what it does with like fire and yellow belly and even the black pastel. Like, the black pastel didn't turn out the way that I imagined it. Like, when Bob showed me that.
Was that Bob?
Yeah, when Bob showed that off, like it's a gorgeous animal. I'm not downplaying that animal at all. Like, that's a gorgeous animal, but it didn't do what I thought it would. I thought the contrasts were going to be different. DG, in my eyes, took away from that animal a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of see that the same with the blackhead. Like I might visually like some of just the straight blackhead DG stuff better than the blackhead DG clown. That being said, I've tried to buy some genes that will highlight even more the contrast, and so we'll see how that looks. But I mean, all you can do is continue to experiment.
And that's what I love about this, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a good palette. I mean, it's a palette. You get to choose your base colors and then run with it. So, and it's an infinite game, right? If you're talking about game theory, right? There's no, I mean, for any of us at this point, we're not going to reach the end of it. So there's nothing to win. You're just continue to push your projects forward. So I mean, that's what makes it so great, I think.
I think what's made this project so hard for so many, sorry, it's all crap in here. DG is such a strong palette. Like, it's super strong. We haven't found anything to really pull color back into it. And that's not saying that it's bad. Like, DG is gorgeous in what it does, but how do we now start adding contrast into it? Like the background palette versus the actual pattern palette in a DG, you find contrast all day in.
Yeah.
But how do we now start getting that crazy pattern and that contrast within the pattern itself in these DG clowns?
Yeah.
And that's I think that's going to be the code breaker,
Yeah.
at least for this project.
And I wonder, although it's counterintuitive, and I have no animals in this project, but I've seen some. I wonder if hypo might actually do that. In my mind, it would wash it out more. However, some of the animals that I've seen in the project, and it's very limited, seem to have a bit more contrast than the DG clown stuff. So I wonder if that's going to be part of the secret in bringing out more contrast. But I'm not in that project, so other people are going to have to figure that out.
Absolutely, I feel that, brother. If there was something we hit our hour and a half. We started just going off on
yeah, sorry.
If there was something you wanted to leave for everyone that listened tonight and everyone that listens in the future, whether it be for your brand, you, or just in general, what would you like to leave the people with?
Yeah, so I'm big on the relational aspect. I haven't done a great job with networking as well as I could have, but it's just because I feel more awkward over social media and like DMs and all that kind of stuff. But I think the relational aspect of the hobby is huge as far as moving forward. So we don't get to do this unless we talk in Arlington. And so I'd say, guys, get out there, meet people, be awkward. I mean, we're all reptile people, so we're all awkward anyways. Most of us are not the normal, not the normal person in a lot of these things. And so just get out there, meet people. And then when you do, though, and you get them to talk about all these different projects, and learn. Like, just keep on looking to learn from other people. There's so much you can learn from how you do things to their projects to even just life, and it's really cool to be a part of that. So hopefully Arjun can continue to be a part of the reptile community in that way, and I hope I get to meet as many people as possible. So if you're watching this and you ever see me at a show or just want to DM me on Instagram or YouTube, do it. I love to talk snakes. So
heck yeah. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed. I gotta ask, Arjen, is your wife's name Jen, or is the kid's name Jen, or where's the name?
That's a good question. No, so it's the first letter of all our names.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, because you can do genetics and you can do generation, whatever it is, it just came out really well. So it's actually just the first letter from all of our names.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
that played well.
Yeah, it did. I didn't mean it to. I just.
Oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and throw you in the background if you want to hang out for a second, and then we'll wrap this up and we'll.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All righty, y'all. Robby's a freaking rock star. Great dude, great energy. I have to apologize to him live. I'm gonna do this live. I did interject a couple of times. I get in my own tangents in my head. I apologize about that. Y'all in the comments yell at me for that when it happens, because let's face it, like, this thing ain't working at 100% sometimes. So, it's okay. Next weekend, I hope you like the DG Clown project, because we're jumping into it a little bit more. We're going to be bringing on one of my fellow Texas friends, Jason and Cassie. I don't want to butcher their name. Let me pull up the brand real quick. I want to say it's Big Country Constrictors. Big Country Constrictors. Jason and Cassie are going to be hanging out. They hit some crazy DG Clown stuff. Some chocolates, some spot nose, some good looking stuff. I'm really gonna go full out in DG Clown. I hope you guys enjoy the ride. I hope you check out Robby's stuff. We'll get links posted in the description later. I did not get that far because it's been a hectic week. But we will get his links for Instagram, Morph Market and stuff down below. Watch his journey in both DG Clown and DG Pides, and make sure you give him some love. Let him know what you thought about this episode. Make sure you leave a review if you're listening to audio version later. Let us know what you thought about the episode. I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay blessed, and we're going to see you on the next one. Later, y'all.